Brian Parker here, another video. We just did a collectionstoppermembership.com question and answer conference last week, and there was one great question that someone asked, and I'm going to answer it as I did there with a little bit more stink on it. The question was, I believe the judge in my case is mad at me. When I first appeared, he was short with me, he would not listen. He seemed to know the other side and was more friendly with them. He asked their input on dates of discovery and the litigation scheduling order, and he didn't really ask me, can you help me and tell me what I should have done or what can I do in the future? Great question, because the answer to that is, this is an answer for both unrepresented people and attorneys. So I would say, breaking up with somebody, it's not you, it's them. And what do I mean by that? Well, there's three kinds of judges, really. There's a newer judge, and he or she has just taken the bench from an election or an appointment, and he's full of enthusiasm, and he's there for public service. He or she is there for public service. They've got 6 years in some cases, and in that time they're going to learn and grow in the job. But what they're also going to acknowledge that this is a pretty sweet thing. Free lunches, short hours, people ass kissing all day long. Why let that go? It's good money, and you've got people doing the work for you. So in the second term, the older judge stopped seeing the job as a job, but more as a sweet gig. It's no longer a public service, but it's a pseudo job, but to be kept. They focus on fundraising and other lofty goals separate from your time-wasting case. They're hoping that your case eventually gets dismissed, and they're going to play a large part in that. In my other videos, I've talked about how it is a authentic feeling that you feel, I do, that the guy or gal representing the bad guy on the other side and the judge, they're against you. And I'm preaching and teaching how to set both of them up 2 motions down the road with my stuff on motion to compel and summary disposition. That's another thing. I would like you to reference my video, Why Judges Do What They Do. And also I have another one, Top 10 Tips for Making Your First Court Appearance. This is going to supplement that. So also you got to remember, in a lot of states, the judge has pressure from their state legislature that says from the beginning of the case and trial must fit into a certain amount of time. Let's say it's a year. And the clock is ticking. So suddenly they're looking at a way to get rid of the case. They're not looking at the truth or who's right or who's wrong. So it will feel like you're being picked upon if the judge looks at you as the weaker link here. It's going to slow his docket down and he wants to move on. So how cases get resolved and off their wonderful docket is they pressure one side and give off a hint that they favor one side over the other. So what do you do about that? First of all, recognize that. It's not you, it's them. And it's not them, it's often they've got other more important things like lunch. Oh, I shouldn't say that. Or the state legislature breaking them down. So, because there are great judges. I know some that I just hope stay there for as long as I'm an attorney. But I also see a lot more of docket clearing as opposed to truth telling or case resolution that's for the parties and not just for the docket. So tip number 1 to handle this nonsense, if you feel biased against, remind the court that you live in the district. Hi, Your Honor, I'm from Roseville, blah, 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 blah. I think I recognize your name, Your Honor. That last name, did you go to school with blah, 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 blah? Just if you squeeze that in there. I know it doesn't sound comfortable, but nor does feeling biased and losing. Remember, you're not there to come in second. So do what you got to do, all right? You really do pay the paycheck of that judge. You see the whole joke where, you know, the bad guy is telling the police officer, hey, I pay your taxes. You really do. You are in the district that votes him or her in or out. Remind that judge. And I'll tell you, that's cool tip number 2 is whenever you're in front of a court, especially at the pretrial, remind the court who you're going against. Number 1, in this case, Your Honor, the debt collector. In this case, Your Honor, the debt collector. When I was talking to the debt collector, do not refer to the other side as Mr. or Mrs. Smith or portfolio recovery. Remind the court that there is that same negative feeling as timeshare salespeople, used car salespeople. That's the same level that we give debt collectors. We describe something negative as the debt collector keeps calling. So say that. Whenever you refer to the other side, that's a debt collector. It's getting held against you, so you gotta go in there. Now, you're dealing with politicians on the bench, people that need to try to get reelected. They understand one thing about getting elected, staying on message. So I want you to stay on message, no matter what you're asked. Let's say that someone asks you, how's the weather today? It's quite good. And as I was coming in here, I was thinking about why this debt collector is suing me when they don't have any proof. Always stay on message. Remind the court that the debt collector is from Troy or Grand Rapids or from Topeka, Kansas or from New York, New York. I don't know how they do it in New York, Rona, but here in the district of blah, 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 where you and I, Your Honor, share the same residence, same district, I vote for you, this is how we do it. It reminds the court that that's not a voter. Stuff gets held against you, so go ahead. That's not a voter, that's a debt collector, and he's not even gonna vote for you, Your Honor, and you wanna take his position? Stay on message. Your Honor, this case is about burden of proof. They haven't met their burden of proof, they haven't shown assignments, the actual debt they're pursuing me for. That should be your theme. Remember, all my videos on counter affidavit, killer counter affidavit. The counter affidavit, I can't preach this strong enough, is the beginning and end of your case. The beginning roadmap where it's going to follow you to the end with victory. Staying on message. Once you've done that counter affidavit, every motion, everything you appear in front of court, stay on message. Because they're never going to prove what they haven't proved already. Tip number 3, stay on message, because judges get pissed if you're all over the map. So it's number 2, but the reason possibly why a judge is mad at you, it's not your fault either. He wants to move the docket along, and let's be honest, if we're in a new experience, we're going to take our time. We're not going to be sure what moves to make. So tip number 4 is something I tell you in my video, 10 tips to winning court and with your first court appearance. Play as you practice. Go to the court 2 or 3 weeks prior. Attend the thing that you're going to be attending. Even if that's a public Zoom where you can do it from home and you can watch exactly what goes on in this crazy place sometimes. But you can see how the judge reacts to non-represented people. That's a great tip. Tip number 4. But that should mean that you don't meander and you be concise. The court will love it if you're to the point and you're on message, because politicians understand what? They understand message. You stay on that and they can see themselves, oh, I can get this thing moving along, because they do have an opinion, a biased opinion about you, because they've just seen someone not as smart or as experienced, meaning you've looked at my video, you've gone and played as you practice. So be concise. And here's a cool thing. Prior to the pretrial, let's say you're attending a pretrial, you guys talk, you and the debt collector. Say, hey, what do you want to do for discovery? Know what you want to do for discovery. Know what you want to do for this litigation. Agree. And if you two can agree, when you get in front of the judge, say to the judge, you know what? I'm going to let the debt collector speak for me. Don't even say his name even then when you're trying to sound like you're getting along. The debt collector is going to speak for me in this instance. We've already agreed. And then just listen to make sure he stays with what you agree with. But the big bonus is when the judge hears that you've both had a chance to talk about the dates. You say, hey, we both had a chance to talk about the dates, Your Honor, and I'm going to let the debt collector attorney talk for both of us. Judges love that. No more bias, especially if you're not talking, so you don't get that feeling that what you're saying is bothering the judge, you the voter is bothering the guy who's trying to get elected. Remember, as I'm taping this, we're beginning election season. Use that to your advantage because everything else gets used against you, man. Do what you got to do. Big bonus, no bias. Judge will like that you talked and seeing that you are working with him to move this thing along because that's his whole goal, in case you're wondering. He wants to move this thing along. Stop taking my time with my job. Number 5, and another thing I preach. Again, practice how you play. Go to the court a week or two before and see how litigants handle a judge and how the judge handles them. Is the court staff very much involved? Snuggle up to the court staff and say, hey, it's my first time in court. Do you have any tips for me? People love to give advice. Get their advice. Be nice. You know what the court's bailiff and court's staff is? Really? They're the gatekeepers to your victory and to the judge. So if you're nice to them, they'll pass your file along and say, oh, that's that nice lady over here. She's just trying for the first time. She needs a little help, Your Honor. You may get that. I've seen that. Attorneys aren't going to get that. But you as a non-represented person are going to get that. So when you're in court 2 or 3 weeks before at a hearing that's the same as yours, if it's a pretrial, and again, you can go on the website of the court and from your living room or your basement or right from your bed, you can watch the whole court. And I want you to be a judge. I want you to listen and go, oh, that person's not doing well. Be judgy. Write down what they screwed up with, but emulate what they do well, because everybody has a task and a skill to do something well. And if you emulate something good, you're going to do good. Why do I say that? Because they may be really good, or they hit a button the judge likes. They said or did something that the judge likes. Write that on your notes. So when you go in front of your judge, the judge, you'll have your note card. Stay on message. Get in, get out. This is about the debt collector. And remind yourself, don't use the debt collector's name. That debt collector's not there to be your friend. So call him what he is. He's a down and dirty debt collector. You know what I mean? Don't say that, but say the debt collector. Never Mr. or Mrs. or anything like that. Because that's how really we feel about debt collectors. So, because you stay on message, because that's the political thing to do. And it's all about politics, right? So see my video, 10 tips to win in court. I also have a video, why do judges do what they do? And that's on collectionstoppermembership.com. Great contact-packed website. And if you're going to invest in the bundles. You'll save a bundle. I have an ebook that is dropping, I believe, Monday, and that is how to answer collection lawsuit with a killer answer. I'll let everybody know when that comes out. But keep these tips in mind, and you won't feel that bias. You may just push the bias to where it really belongs, which is in the bad guy debt collector. Good luck. Thank you.